Hey guys, hope y'all are doing great today. Welcome to part 2 of this month's Food Forest Tours. I think I may have said a week at the end of part 1, but I guess it's kind of more monthly now. So welcome to part 2 of this month's Food Forest Tours. Excited y'all are here today. Thank you for joining me. Over here, heading over to the grapes. I just love the way these grapes look. It's like a light green seeded grape, and they're really looking good. Hopefully this rain and heat kind of ripen these up within probably about a month or so, maybe even 2. They look really big, but it seems like once they get about this point, at least I know last year it took them about another month or 2 to ripen up, so it's kind of deceiving. They kind of look like they're all ripe and ready, but it takes about another month or even 2 for them to kind of fully ripen up. That's one thing I've been trying to do, is kind of write down the ripening times going forward, so I'll know what to kind of generally expect, each year going forward. And you can kind of, it's not going to be exact each year because, the weather's different each year. Some years you may get more rain than others, or more sunny days. So it'll vary, but it'll at least give you an idea of kind of how long or about when to expect the trees to be producing. Got the little grapevine right here. It's coming back. I didn't think it might not make it, but it seems to be coming back pretty vigorously, so that's really good. You can see this probably looks a whole lot different than it did last time. This is really starting to grow up, and you may say, gosh, that looks messy and awful to walk through, but you kind of get down lower, you can kind of see it's a path. It's not very tall really where I'm walking, because I walked on it so much. It kind of looks like that from right here, but it's really only about probably 4 inches, so it's kind of just like you forgot to mow your grass a week or 2 in the parts I'm walking on. It is deeper over there, and I try to leave that naturally, both to avoid kind of letting things grow up naturally, and eventually we'll plant some things into the more wild areas to try to get some food crops there, but also just to kind of see what comes up and to have some beneficial wild plants coming up, and also to avoid any little critters that may be making their homes there. Kind of leave that for them, and hope they'll stay in their area and leave me my area to walk through. So we'll see how that goes. These grapes are looking real good on the end. I just love the way grapes look and taste. Both of those are good things. Going on that side, got some nice clusters over there too. Looking really good. Head back up to the front of the row and head over to the second row. Right over to the second row. This was the row we were just at. Kind of get just this side of these clusters from this first vine. Didn't really get those. Got a lot hanging down real far right there. Really filled in. They've really, for the most part, are really unblemished so far. Get a little bit of bird damage, or occasional Japanese beetles are starting to come in, so that may change. But really, it's just cosmetic stuff when they do it most of the time. Sometimes they can mess them up, but looking really good so far. Excited about those grapes. This is a seedless red grape. This will be the first year it's producing. Got a nice shoot coming up over here that I'll probably train up to that wire right there. There's some more vigorous shoots you can see coming out from there. Sometimes I used to would trim those off to keep them from supposedly taking energy away from the other vines, but what I found is really just leaving them go, and if they're really growing somewhere you don't want them, you can kind of just pinch off the growing tip, and that'll usually can kind of direct it to put growth in another section. If you leave it grow, another one growing. This one's growing really good. Same thing kind of here. It's growing a little bit outside like this, that vigorous shoot right there. It really normally wouldn't select that one. I would select you know, try to select one on this branch, but it doesn't have one, so kind of, you know, go with what's working, and sent off another vigorous shoot right there that's gone up to the wire. So that will replace that one that didn't come back this year for some reason. And sometimes you just go with what happens, and it doesn't always, you know, work out exactly like you want it to. Some of the buds don't make it through the winter that you would like a branch to be there, so you just kind of let it do it. This one's growing out nicely along there. Got some smaller grape clusters on this one really starting to form up well. Looking really good. You can see these clusters are a little bit thinner but longer. Each type has its own kind of way it goes. Jump over to the third row. Oh, right over here to the third row. That was the row we just walked down right there. This one's kind of a boring row because I think it's just got this one down here at the bottom. But just going back to these, the insects, you can see these wildflowers too that are just really nice. A lot of this stuff is some type of dock growing wild. These wildflowers are really pretty coming in. You kind of see all kinds of plants, you know, if you let a lot of it just grow wild. You see a lot of really neat plants, you know, that you may not have even, you know, realized were growing on your property, you know, because you cut them back before they flower or anything. But, you know, they're everywhere when you kind of just let a little bit grow wild. And the beneficial insects have just been amazing. It's insane actually how many they are. There's so many dragonflies and beneficial wasps, like not the wasps that would sting you, but like I don't know how to put it, they're like smaller wasps, or they seem to be, you know, very non-aggressive. I had some pliers in my hand, and one of them kind of flew up and like just landed on the pliers and kind of looked around and then just kind of flew away, you know, not threatening at all. And they seem to be solitary wasps, you know, so they're not forming, you know, huge nests either that you've got to worry about, you know, stepping on and them swarming you and having to jump in a lake or something to get away. But they seem to be very, I guess, really friendly in the word, but kind of very non-intrusive, you know. There's, I've definitely seen the paper wasps still. I've never really had an issue with paper wasps, though, that I can think of, even though I've, you know, seen some pretty big nests. I did actually accidentally put my hand on one last year picking up some mulch and got a good little sting, but, you know, it was, you know, nothing super bad. It definitely hurt for sure, but I know people that are allergic to them, you know, have to be more careful. But I should have been wearing gloves, and that really wouldn't have happened. Yeah, we're not going to see many of them today just because of the rain and all the bugs are hiding out. But I used to have deer flies so bad out here that I couldn't even walk outside hardly and come to this section of the yard without literally waving my hands like a crazy person around my head to keep them off. And now I may have just one, and a lot of the times I come out here there's none, and I mean, it was probably 20 before. So and I think it's just going to get more and more, because this past I think it's yesterday or the day before, it's when I really noticed just how many dragonflies and beneficial wasps there were, you know, back there just doing their thing and helping balance out the populations of the bugs. And I even saw a wasp go into a spider web purposely and grab the spider off the web and fly away with the spider and eating it. I was just blown away. I've never seen anything like that before. So that was that was really, it was kind of, you know, interesting and a little weird, but it was kind of, you know, cool too. You know, I never heard of, you know, it was one of those kind of solitary looking type of wasps, I would guess. And yep, just jumped right into the spider web, grabbed the spider, and went on with its lunch. So that was really interesting. And I had wondered why I hadn't, you know, it starts this time of year that I really start to see a lot more spider webs, you know, at least previously. But haven't seen, you know, at least the big spider webs that are, you know, branching in between trees and stuff that you accidentally walk into and, you know, wipe your face off because you feel like a spider's crawling on you, but I haven't had that so far this year, so that's been really nice. This branch is just full of grapes. Just tons and tons of them. Looking really good. Got some new growth kind of coming off on that side. There's not as many clusters over there, but that's all looking really good. Right over here to the fourth and final row, got the muscadines, and they're really starting to, it looks like most of the clusters have finished blooming, and the grapes are starting to form on there. We had a lot of rain the week that they were pollinating, so I'm hoping we didn't have an issue with pollination, but even if we did, there's just so many of them on the vine. Let's see if I can just do a kind of a, you can just see it is literally loaded, and there's going to be so many grapes if all of them did get pollinated. So it actually, you know, might not be a bad thing if they all didn't, but I think it definitely could support it if they did. But you know, if half of them didn't get pollinated, it'd still have a huge crop. So that's really, really good to see. Kind of transitions right here into this other variety. Actually, I'm sorry, not there yet. Right here kind of goes into the other variety, and this variety is putting out some grapes this year, quite a few. Let's see. Go up in here. Let me go over more to this side because those may be actually from the other variety that's growing into it. So there's a few good clusters in there. As you can see, it's nowhere near the other variety, but there's some over here actually that are pretty good. Some good clusters right there. Actually, some really good ones over here too. So it'll probably really start to get into production. This is by far the most this vine has had, so I think it'll really start getting going this year. But give it this year to see how it tastes. I wasn't impressed with it really last year. It has a super thick skin. You know, it's that can be beneficial, you know, but the other one does fine with keeping the bugs and other things off. So, you know, it's not a huge thing, and this one's just kind of okay. So yeah, I'd rather really have something else growing here eventually. So I may leave it until I got to the point that I needed to move it, but I probably will eventually replace this with something else. Thanks for tuning in to part 2 of this week's Food Forest Tours, guys. I'll see you soon in part 3.